It's a bare necessity to rest. I don't know all the words, but that's the song. There you go. Guild Wars 2 put out this blog post. This is a lore sneak peek of the upcoming Janthir Wilds expansion. Peek at the Lowland Codan and the story of Janthir Wilds. Hey there, this is Indigo, the Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds narrative lead, and Chloe, the expansion's story design lead. We'd love to walk you through a high-level look at the Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds story to help set the stage for launch next month. The story of Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds is a treasure trove of intrigue and lore, I can read, both past and present, and we'll be encountering a variety of allies and enemies as we venture into the long-awaited region of Janthir. We'll be picking right up where the Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure left off. Let's dive in. Please note, light spoilers ahead. We'll be teasing a little bit about the region and current affairs surrounding the start of the expansion. So if you'd rather go in totally unspoiled, you'd best skip this one. Thank you so much for the heads up. But normally I like to be unspoiled, but this is a little teaser, and I hope that it'll get me even more excited for what's to come. Look at the deer! Aww. Look at, like, the bloodstone up here. Look at, like, there's, like, bloodstone in with this mountain. That's interesting. I love this little stream. This is so pretty. Bridging Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure. To get things going, let's look back at last year. Following the end of the Dragon Cycle, Tyria had no idea what the ramifications would be. As we learned in Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, Suwan's death caused a powerful blast of magical instability that fractured all sorts of magical forces and barriers within Tyria. Aurene immediately went to work reestablishing herself as a filter for those magics, and stability was quickly restored. But we've only just begun to understand the consequences of that transfer of power. Oh, that's so interesting, yes. Right at the onset of Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, the commander was thrown into uncharted territory. We learned that the World Spire, a powerful conduit forged by the wizard Isgarin, was fractured following that blast. The Spire was one of the few barriers sitting between us and potential calamity, and it only took a moment for the denizens of a parallel realm to worm their way in. And thus, the commander was introduced to the long-fought war between the Astral Ward and the Cryptus. Ooh. I love that it looks like it's raining in, like, every screenshot. Through the story of Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, the commander aids the Astral Ward in rescuing the Wizard's Court while toppling the malevolent Cryptus King Epart. While the fight against the Cryptus was won, there are a lot of stories left to be told about our wizardly new friends. The Astral Ward has proven to be a worthy ally with a benign cause, but we've barely touched the surface of some of their more questionable choices, not to mention their cantankerous leader, Isgarin. We know they helped in some ways, but why didn't they get involved sooner? Where do we even start with the fractal fiasco? I'm kind of annoyed that they keep asking this. They keep asking this in game. Why didn't they get involved sooner? Why didn't they get involved sooner? Why did they just stand back and watch when the dragons... Like, we got an answer to that. Like, why are they still asking this? Like, is there some other reason that we're going to learn? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's just because Isgarin has this hands-off, as long as Tyria is not going to get literally destroyed, he has a very hands-off approach. Like, we're just going to let things happen. We're just going to observe, right? If it's something that they can't handle and will end Tyria, then we'll step in. But, they were observing us, and the commander is very strong, and our friends are very strong, and we had Aurene. And so I know with the whole Elder Dragon thing, yes, people were dying. Yes, the Elder Dragons were causing catastrophe, but that's kind of what they do, right? Like, you got to remember, like, our character's only so old, and has only seen this tiny, portion of Tyrian history, whereas Isgarin has been observing, for eons, apparently, and the dragon cycle was 10,000 years. So he's observed the dragons rising and going back to sleep every 10,000 years many times, and the like destruction that they wrought is like nothing new to him. He's like, yeah, the dragons rise, they cause destruction, they feed on the magic and then go back to sleep. Like that's how I see it. Like this cycle is no different. The question of why didn't they get involved in the whole dragon thing, I'm actually kind of surprised once we started killing them, he didn't get involved. Like, whoa, I've been observing this cycle of nature, and you're killing them. Like, what is going on? I'm actually surprised that wasn't like brought up. Like you were like, he didn't go Joko on us. Joko was the one that questioned us. Well, that's why I love Joko so much. Apparently Isgarin didn't see it that way. He was just, I guess he figured that maybe because we had Aurene, he knew things were still going to be okay. He knew Tyria was not going to be destroyed, even though we were killing the dragons. And look at that. He was right. It worked out. And then where do we even start with the fractal fiasco? That's very interesting too. And I would also love us to question them some more on the fractal thing, which is them not only creating life, them taking life from Tyria and putting them in these fractals that they created, basically using people from Tyria as guinea pigs. The ethics of that is very questionable. That's cool that we're gonna continue discussing these things with the wizards. I'm very curious to see what they say and what we find out. Time to pull us back to the present. While the commander, now the Wayfinder, don't know if I like being the commander. I mean, Wayfinder's fine, but I like being the commander. Was fighting back against Eparch in Nyos. The threat of the Cryptus didn't go unnoticed by the rest of Tyria. In fact, the threat was very much noticed, and nations started talking. At the start of Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds, here's where the spoilers come in, the commander will receive an invitation to the inaugural meeting of the Tyrian Alliance. And oh boy, do they have a lot of thoughts about our latest demonic invaders. Yes! After everything the world has endured, Tyria's patience with destruction is limited. Yes! Let's go. I want them to get mad. While we want to keep some of the minutiae surrounding the Tyrian Alliance under our hats for now, including our lavish host of guest appearances, in addition to providing the player with a new directive, the Alliance also gives us the ability to demonstrate Tyria's growth outside of the main story path. What's happening in the rest of the world? How are things progressing when we're in the thick of adventure? I love that. That might be the coolest part of Soto taking us away from Tyria. And even though, in my opinion, it made Soto felt very lonely. It was very cool, but it felt very lonely. It felt very disconnected from our friends and from Tyria. And like, I just really desperately want to go back home to the Tyria that I know. But like, yeah, how is the rest of the world responding to this? Like Tyria, the nations of Tyria, the races of Tyria don't just sit and do nothing while we're off adventuring in another realm. They keep moving, they progress. That makes the world feel alive, right? Because these people are living their lives. These people are, things are happening there, and they're responding to what's happening and to what we're doing, right? And I love that. So I'm very excited for that. All right, the Greater Janthir region. One of the results of this first Tyrian Alliance meeting will send the commander at. Are we the commander or are we the Wayfinder? Are we the Wayfinder when we're talking to the wizards? Is like Queen Jenna and Countess Anise going to call us the commander? Because up here you said. Oh, here they said the commander. Through the story of Secrets of the Obscure, the commander. And then it's like the present, while the commander, now the wave. Are we the Wayfinder or we're the commander Wayfinder? Apparently, maybe people are gonna call us different things. I mean, it would make sense for people to call us different things when we go back to Tyria. Like Queen Jenna will refer to us as the commander, whereas Isgarin is gonna refer to us as the Wayfinder, right? And then they're just gonna have to agree that okay, this is the same person. The Commandifinder, the Waymander. That's right. We're What are we? All right, the Tyrian Alliance meeting will send the commander and a very small team of allies into the dangerous wilds of the Janthir region, starting due north of Divinity's Reach over the Crichton border. Yes. The initial focus of our mission is to establish a diplomatic connection with a small faction of Khodan. The Lowlanders, while hesitant, welcome us into their village. We spend some time getting to know their culture as we explore the lowland shore, which we'll dig into a bit more in a moment. Partway through the story, we'll be pulled even further into Janthir. That's when we'll make our way into the Isles themselves. The Bay is rich with history, bloody, brutal, sullen history, and we've never strayed too close until now. We know that Saul and his fledgling White Mantle went to the Isles in search of something, leaving with an Eye of Janthir. We also know that other conspicuous figures have ventured into the region too. On the first island we reach, Janthir Sentry. Ooh, Janthir Sentry. Is that the name of the map or the first island? Okay. No, it'll launch with 2 maps, I think, and then the first release after the core expansion release will have no new map. We'll keep exploring stories in the same 2 maps. And then the third release will have half of the third map, and the fourth release will have the other half of that third map, I believe, is how the release cadence they said is going to be this time, which I'm all for. That sounds really good. On the first island we reach, Janthir Sentry will begin to unravel the tragic history behind the ruined village of Gavril. Ooh, have we heard of Gavril before? That's a good spot to pause because most importantly, bears. Bears. Lots of bear friends. I think it's going to be crucial to know, or beneficial. It'll be beneficial to know, to go in knowing Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 1's history with Janthir and the White Mantle and Sol D'Alessio, and how that all relates to Kryta and the Mersat and the Titans and all that. There's a lot of lore there from core Guild Wars 1 that's been explored a little bit. It was explored in one of the raids in Guild Wars 2, and it was very, very fascinating lore from like core Guild Wars 1 prophecies. There's been a lot of people who put out lore videos. I watched Loranity's lore video on it, and she did a fantastic job of really summarizing like everything we know about all of that history, the Eye of Janthir, Saul's. It's a lot about Saul's journey, so highly recommend watching that. Before I'm gonna watch it like again before this expansion launches, so I have like a reference and a reminder of the lore. It really made me want to play Prophecies again. The Lowland Khodan. One of the most exciting things to dig into has been our new faction of Lowland Khodan, who have called Janthir home for many generations. Despite the region being viciously dangerous and inhospitable, they are expert survivalists and have carved out a comfortable, even cozy way of life in these lands. All Lowlanders are capable fighters and learn survival tactics from the time they're cubs. The Wayfinder, or Commander, or whatever we're calling us, will spend much of their time in Janthir learning about and learning from the Lowlanders, as they have much to teach, including spears, and giving us a house. As a population isolated from their northern Khodan cousins for so long and living in a much different environment, they're a little different than the Khodan we're familiar with, who are polar bears. Perhaps the most notable difference lies in their spiritual belief system. Sounds like Norn. Unlike other Khodan who revere the will and balance of Khoda, the Lowland Khodan hold in reverence the environment, the relationship they maintain with it, and the responsibility they have as stewards of the land. Love that, as we all should be. Rather than viewing themselves as enlightened protectors chosen by Khoda, Lowlanders act out of a duty to maintain necessary balance in a harsh place where taking is easier than giving and survival can be difficult. Ooh, yes, be one with nature, care for nature, respect nature. Let's go. Teach me real life lessons about saving the environment, Guild Wars 2. These differences trickle down through the other aspects of their society. Khodan leadership is typically a partnership between a spiritual mouthpiece of Khoda, called a voice, and a physical protector called a claw. Interesting. The lowland Kodan have a claw as their sole leader, a feature of their society that goes back as far as anyone can remember. The claw is not without balance, though. A council that represents key roles in the village lends the claw perspective and advice. Okay. As the Way commander spends more time with the lowland Kodan and begins to earn their trust, we'll gain more glimpses into their lives and their history as denizens of Janthir. Look, it's so cozy. So cozy. Look at their like the crates back there with like the paw prints. Got the I assume is that a war claw? He's eaten by the fire. I'm so excited to meet them. They're not dirty hippie bears. They're awesome. They're anti-capitalist bears. That's right. We love them already. Heading north to Janthir. The inhabitants of Tyria are on the cusp of a new era. It's time for nations to ally and work together on a more global scale. Those seeds of alliance were planted under the threat of elder dragons, but the need did not end with the elder dragons. As new threats arise, it's good to have friends on your side. What better place to start than with people living next door? The lowland Kodan might prove to be valuable allies if we can earn their trust and convince them it's worthwhile to join the global conversation. Join us, join our way of life. I don't know if they're going to want to do that. Work together, yes. Join the Tyrian alliance. I'm not sure. We're so excited to be able to give some first looks into the narrative of Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds. There's so much fun existing lore and history to dig into and build upon with new stories and characters, and we can't wait for you to experience it all. Again, highly recommend watching like a lore video. Reminder, pre-purchasing any edition of Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds before the expansion launches will grant you the Homesteader title. Whispering Serpent's Pauldron skin. That's like these like snake shoulder pieces with like snakes on them. And a box with your choice of one Serpent's Wrath weapon skin. Here's my Guild Wars 2 button. Visit the official store page for full details on the items included in the Standard, Deluxe, and Ultimate editions. Or you can use Peachy's link or any ArenaNet partners link to support them. There you go. This expansion launches in like a month and a half, y'all. August 22nd. Let's go.